or don't quit. No matter like how tough things get,
Mm-hmm.
like there's always going to be some sort of silver lining. It might not be like immediately, you know what I mean, right in front of you or perceivable, but trust that like everything happens for a reason as long as you're able to kind of stick within yourself and like really just like stay 10 toes and just like yeah, I'm gonna push through regardless of if it's a positive or a negative experience because at the end of the day it's all, for the bigger picture, the bigger cause, it's always going to come back around for you.
Now here in the cut, we challenge our guests to finish a tub of ice cream before the end of the conversation. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Welcome to the Cool Table. My name is Adriel Smiley, aka AdrielSmiley.com, aka Adriel Smiley Official, aka The Godfather. Now, if you want to hear the radio show live, you can hear it every Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern, 12:80 a.m. in Toronto, CJTM metradio.ca. Now, in the cut, we challenge our guests to finish a tub of ice cream before the end of the conversation. Joining us for the first time, this has been a long one coming, a long time in the making, a Brampton legend, TC Spades.
Sir, yes, sir. Happy to be here, man. The Cool Table finally made it.
Appreciate you. All of our ice cream for season 3 is brought to us by Eva's Original Chimneys. Check them out on Bloor Street. I know you got one of the most popular flavors. This might be a popular Cool Table flavor because I feel like when people come to the Cool Table, this is a flavor they want to try. So tell everyone about the flavor you chose and what do you think your chances are of actually finishing?
Okay, so I chose tiramisu. Honestly, I was like sitting with my girl. When you asked me, I was sitting next to her and I was like, she was already making a dessert. And then she was doing like a churro kind of cheesecake.
Okay,
so
I
I'm
like
just
that.
like, tiramisu does sound fire, but I was like, what would you want in case? Because I was assuming I could bring it home. I didn't know I had to sit here and finish it. So she's like, maybe vanilla. And I was like, but that tiramisu though. She's like, do what you want. So I was like, all right.
You can bring it home after you're done with it.
Yeah, but now you're challenging me, right? So I can't let my name go to waste. But yeah, we can see. I could try. I'm not necessarily lactose intolerant, so I'm not gonna die. But like I might like get through halfway, and I'm like, I think I'm okay.
Tummy twerking?
A little bit, like just kind of that full of dairy.
Yeah. So you're not lactose, but like halfway
It
through
could
your
be-
stomach will sound like a fax machine.
Yeah, a little bit, What do you call that? Like partial? I don't know what you call it.
I call this being black.
Yeah. There's a point where the dairy's just like, yeah, you gotta wash it out.
My friend had a wedding and he had a bunch of hors d'oeuvres and they were like all cheese based and it was like 5 different kinds of cheese hors d'oeuvres. And he's Trini, and I was like, you got all these black people out here eating cheese before your wedding?
Bro.
Like...
Nah, I feel shifting in their seats during the reception.
No, 100%. I was like, yeah, the line for the washroom is going to be for both washrooms at this point. Like...
Crazy.
I didn't even know this, and I learned it through researching for this interview of how you got the name TC Spades, a media class in high school. And it made me think of the other options, okay? All right? And just walk with me here.
Of course.
Okay, of course you said TC Diamonds didn't hit.
Yeah.
I think TC Diamonds might hit more now than it did then. I feel like you've probably progressed since then.
Yeah.
Got a little more ice on you, so we'll think about that as like a AKA. Okay. TC Hearts. I've heard some of your music. There's something there.
The R&B bag,
Yep. So I think maybe you have some AKAs here. Maybe it's still TC Spades like full time, but maybe you have
the diamonds.
Yeah, there's Sasha Fierce and Beyonce. Like, this is your Sasha Fierce.
You're the first person to kind of, like, I just kind of say those things just, like, because they're fact. But the fact that you put in that perspective, I might take you up on that offer.
I think there's something there. Like, when I hear a certain track, I'm like, okay, this is TC Diamonds on this track.
Yeah, flossing.
Yeah.
Blinging.
100%.
Sure.
Yeah. So we're going to do a top 5 later, but I want to give you a heads up, okay? Because I don't want to spring this on you. I know you're a big Wayne fan. All right. So we're going to do a top 5 Lil Wayne songs towards the end of the show. So
I'm already thinking of it right now.
Start thinking.
Gotcha.
I want to go to before hip hop because I think, of course, people know you what you're doing before you started making music. But from what I know, you were like always into media. That's always what you wanted to do. Can you remember the start of that? What kind of gave you that itch of like, I'm going to be in media from time? Like, what was the first thing you
Yeah.
saw that was like, I'm gonna be in this field?
Yo, honestly, and great question. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So I started out drawing
Mm-hmm.
from basically like childhood to basically the eighth grade.
Mm-hmm.
My dad draws, my older brother draws, but like in a Caribbean household, especially like
Mm-hmm.
my dad in Jamaica didn't see drawing as like, where it could
A
actually
job,
take you,
yeah.
right? Like looking at it more as like caricatures for the tourist type of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's just the background of that. But I think where media really kind of kicked in for me, honestly, I probably would say it was because of YouTube.
Oh,
So like,
wow.
yeah, eighth grade, and it's crazy too. I discovered this one Canadian YouTuber who did stop motion, but it was like the most amazing like stop
Wow.
motion I've ever seen with
Mm-hmm.
like very like detailed characters,
Yeah, yeah.
like figurines, right? So that was part of it. Um, and then DJ Hero a little bit too, because for some reason, like music was just always like a thing in my life, right?
Throwback.
Yeah, bro.
Yo,
Like we all knew Guitar Hero,
throwback.
but I was tapped in when I saw that. So
Oh,
from that,
man.
I was like, I could probably find a DJ like program and like make my
Mm-hmm.
own kind of like, flips or whatever. So that was kind of the start of it. And then I just kept pushing the YouTube thing. Went to high school for media, and
Mm-hmm.
then that was really where I picked up a camera and said maybe it's easier to tell stories like with the pieces already there, as opposed to trying to like create the characters, backdrops, and
I can't believe you just said DJ Hero.
everything. Hell yeah,
That just took me to
a place, bro.
a different place because I talked to Eric Ryan a couple weeks ago,
Shout
and
out
he
Eric.
learned to play guitar
Because of Guitar
because of
Hero.
Guitar Hero.
Shout out Guitar Hero, bro. That's
And
heavy.
right, and I think about it, I'm like, there's probably a generation of like musicians now between Guitar Hero, Rock Band, and DJ
Damn,
Hero.
bro.
That's like,
What is that? EA and Activision.
yeah,
We created the
yeah.
next generation.
Because
Insane.
I'm not a gamer at all. Like, you know me, like I play 2K like 3 times a year,
Yeah.
and I'm horrible. Like
Yeah.
the computer is 20ing me unless I play with like an all-time team.
Well,
Like,
it's a LeBron to Michael
no,
Jordan.
if I don't do that, I'm losing by 20. Like that,
Correct.
I'm not good. So when Rock Band came around, I'm a
Mhm.
drummer.
Oh,
So when
okay.
I said, okay, I could play this.
Listen, I'm plugged in for sure.
I said, yo, listen, put me on. Like, so I always remember those games as like, okay, a game I can actually play for the first
a
time. And
level of
like,
accessibility that wasn't like there in video games.
yeah,
before.
yeah. And then DJ Hero, the songs on there.
That's the thing. So I never actually. I think I got to play it. I've only ever played it once.
Mm-hmm.
But like, just like I was just so fascinated in some of the flips that they had in the soundtrack in the game. Like that was what I was tapped into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like, you coming from like a drawing background, like that's actually where I got started too. Like I won an
Word.
award when I was in elementary school
Yeah.
for drawing. I actually went to go see this drawing that I did recently. It's in
Oh, it's like on display.
Centenary
What?
Hospital. And
Crazy.
when I went to see it, I said, "This won an award, like this."
Damn, bro.
But I thought about like being a cartoonist
Mhm.
and comic books. And I remember
Literally same.
you said like the frames had to draw every frame is what kind of stopped you. Talk about that because I actually went to school for TV and we did animation.
Oh.
And that was like everyone's like least favorite class. So like
Oh.
you were more right than you realized. Is
Ahead of my
my
time,
point.
bro.
Yeah.
That's so crazy. That is so crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so basically, like drawing was just a thing. So I'd like just draw characters, whether they're
Yeah.
cartoon characters, comic book, whatever, just like by looking at it. And then it was actually shout out my elementary school friend Xavier.
Big up
Hope
X.
he's doing well.
Mhm.
But what started out as he was like the only other black guy in the school who drew. So I was like, I don't know who this guy is. Like at first, right? And then we became
Yeah.
friends and like frenemies or whatever.
Mhm.
So he already had
Frenemies.
for real, because like we meet. I'm like, oh, I draw too, whatever.
Mhm.
We're hitting it off, and he's like. He's got 2 different comic book like series that he's been doing since the 2nd grade, and mind you, it's grade 4.
Competition.
Bro, so I'm like, what? But like at the same time, it inspired me. So like all the Naruto and like Bleach and like some of the other stuff we were watching, like
Yeah.
it just kind of made me want to make my own, I guess, graphic novel.
Yeah.
So at the time,
Mhm.
it was like maybe 2 different books, and it was weird, bro. It was like post-apocalyptic, but they were ninjas, and like I had like a bigger kind of like idea of it. But after maybe 2 little like when you make the book out of folding the paper in half and like
Yeah.
whatever, like 5-6 pages. After maybe 2 of those, I was like, something's gotta give. Like, I'm either gonna put this on DeviantArt and try and go up on there, or I gotta find another medium or something.
I think
Yeah.
there's still something there. I feel like as a creative, you've shown, the different parts of your creativity in different mediums.
Mhm.
So there's something there.
You on the point of like
Mhm.
storytelling, I'm definitely not opposed to going back to it. On the
Mhm.
flight just now,
Mhm.
back here,
Mhm.
I was like doodling just for shits because it's
Mhm.
like, when's the last time I did that?
Yeah,
But
and I feel like the part of music that is storytelling, like there is something there where it's like, okay, find this different way to tell your story. Like
mm,
I mentioned this other day, Dave East's song Keisha, which is like one of his first like, songs that blew him.
yeah,
The video is what blew that song up because the video was what showed the message of the song. The song is pretty
mm,
straightforward.
yeah, yeah,
Rocks with this girl, she robs him. What the fuck, Keisha?
yeah,
But the video helped build the song because everyone could
yeah.
see,
Visualizing the actual story.
So I've been thinking about visuals a lot because, everyone I did talk to some people before this interview because I know some people So I did my little research
Oh Lord.
and everyone was basically saying like, yo, like he's just a creative through and through, like, whether it's music or photography. And so I thought about that a lot, like the Anderson Paak video for Daydreaming, where it looks like GTA 6. And it's like there's all these different ways to do it. So I feel like the cartooning and the drawing
Yeah.
is like that's not done.
No, for
Mm,
sure. I even to that point when it came to just the photography and videography in
mhm,
itself, like I switching over to music made me kind of slow down my creative process like first and foremost so I can
mhm,
really kind of fine tune it and whatever cuz with the photography and videography I got so into quick turnaround and just like energy and you know what I mean, that
yeah,
kind of thing. But the music added to my just overall creative process.
mhm,
So I think in the time of transitioning and just kind of learning and balancing and whatnot, and just trying to like make a name for myself outside of like what people first knew me for,
yeah,
that's when I realized, okay, I can't abandon it entirely because
mhm,
regardless, like elements or things that I've learned are still gonna play into what I'm doing.
yeah,
But yeah, no, totally. I can definitely see like different elements like coming in when the time is right and when I have
mhm.
the actual means to like intentionally, you know what I mean? Like make it
Turn it into
really,
something.
yeah, like have that impact.
Yeah, I've always thought this about your career because I first saw you when you and Ryan were doing those skits,
Oh,
and knowing that you made the change from like doing stuff behind the scenes to be an artist, I said either he is the smartest guy alive or the dumbest guy alive, because even myself being in the industry for as long as I've been in the industry for, seeing artists up close and what they deal with, I've never envied that to be on that side.
yeah.
And so when I've heard you talk about your passion for music and deciding to go the other side, I was like, he's dead ass. Because you spent a lot of time with artists as well before getting into it, where it's like you've seen the bullshit they've had to deal with, you've seen the divas they've been, you've seen someone make an amazing album that no one listens to.
Mhm.
So before we even get to that, let's start with you actually, putting your foot in photography and videography.
Mhm.
Because I think that's a part of your career that people are, of course, aware of if they know you. But I think people who are
Yeah,
fans of your music, I'd like them to kind of get a glimpse into that part of you.
absolutely. Just have a sip here. That was a really good first spoon, I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, big first spoon.
Yeah.
Okay, big up Eva's.
Partway through listening to you, I was just like, let me crack this open. Shout out Eva's for real. But yeah, so I guess for excuse me. So to connect it, so the drawing was like the first thing I did.
Mm-hmm.
Was looking for a school in Brampton to go to pursue it further. But like
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going I was like, I'm on the west side, right? So I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah, I'm
going to
not doing all that.
Mayfield.
Yeah.
Oh my lord. 6 a.m. bus rides. I'm like, you got me fucked up.
You've been
Anyway,
knowing that wasn't you.
bro. So a school opened up nearby called St. Rock.
Mm-hmm.
They had a media program, so I was like, maybe I can figure something out. And they had a pretty good pitch just talking about their thing. So I'm like, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So applied, I got in, and then I was like, okay, maybe I can do this. 10th
Mm-hmm.
grade. Um, yeah, long story short, I in that time in high school, I kind of more let go of drawing and leaned more into the video stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
I was doing music, but just for fun, like
Mm-hmm.
for my own sake, because I had the means, right?
Yeah,
The
you said you dropped some
resources.
some early tapes like on some fun
Yeah.
shit.
I don't know. I was just like going online and seeing like again D Pride, Tory Lanez, Devin Tracy,
Yep.
hearing of Sunny Diamond Studios, like all these local people just kind
I,
of like
I gotta
got
stop
me
you right
amped,
there. You
bro.
just mentioned a whole list of names from an era
Yeah.
I know people are not familiar
Bro,
with.
that is basically what raised me, like, because of YouTube. Like,
No,
8th grade, ninth grade,
that was the era, and it's crazy because this is almost pre Drake in a sense because Drake hadn't
basically.
blown up yet.
Yeah.
That it's like again on YouTube, online, we
Mhm.
had all these people to choose from of like I remember when Tory Lanez was handing out CDs at the mall,
Bro.
like, and to think that that's the same Tory Lanez, it's like,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man.
mm,
It's a trip, but, like, those were the And at that time too, they felt so far off, but maybe it was
Mm-hmm.
because of my age at the time and like high school. I wasn't like
Mm-hmm.
outside like that, long story
Yeah.
short. So I was like consuming that while in school for media, while just
Mm.
trying to like find my footing and growing and learning. And then by time post secondary rolled around, because I already had a DSLR, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
excuse me. Yes, I'm like, I ended up going to Guelph Humber. So I'm like, yeah, I'm in a program. I already did 4 years in school,
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Excuse me. I didn't think of the music as anything seriously. So I was like, you know what? Maybe I might as well like take what I already have and just put it to use. Let me make something happen.
Mm-hmm.
So started out with the Instagram, and honestly, it was shout out to my homie Tony Kojo. It was him who really kind of put me in certain places where I was just like, oh, okay, this is the place that I'm comfortable, or these are the
Mm-hmm.
things that I like doing. Cause couple of photo shoots of friends and whatever, whatever. But he was the first person who he had an internship with Urbanology magazine,
Go
and they
back.
were doing Battle of the Beatmaker. Yeah, so that was the real first thing that like
Mm-hmm.
actually like put me into the whole mix of things. Cause he's like, yeah, he got to do some coverage for them, and he's like,
Mm-hmm.
yo, you and I can be a team. Let's do it up. Um, the judges for that year were Metro Boomin, Sunny Digital, and what's his name? One of the guys from what's the group that Joe Budden was in?
Oh, Slaughterhouse.
Slaughterhouse, and what's
Mm.
the other light skinned guy?
Joel.
I think it was him.
Joel.
Yeah.
Joel Ortiz. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Joe oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
those are the
Yeah.
judges, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, Wonder Girl was, like, there, so she just had blown, so I'm like, "Oh,
Wow.
shit." Like, I'm basically the music space I found out was, like, where I was most comfortable. We
Mm-hmm.
got to, like, interview Metro Boomin briefly and talk to Sunny, so, like, that was already, like, okay, I enjoy this space. Clearly, like, this is a tool that I can get into these places and I can still be creative. So that
Mm-hmm.
really got me going from there. And then, yeah, I guess the way that journey went was like did that, linked up with Roy Woods eventually
Mm-hmm.
because of honestly shout out the homie Twist and then this other dancer homie basically.
Mm-hmm.
So they were dancers going viral doing their thing. I was a guy, doing my thing with the
Mm-hmm.
photography and whatever. So when we eventually linked up, it was like, well, we might as well team up, try and put some stuff together and just keep
Yeah.
pushing it, right? They ended up bringing me to that so they essentially were I don't know if they were cast or whatever you want to call it,
Mm-hmm.
but a homie plugged them in to be in Roy's video for Go on Big Up Yourself.
Okay.
And that homie was David Forteau, who's
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
so he's
Yeah.
like the big homie. So we first met because of that time, like
Mm-hmm.
2016. We plugged in, and then I saw Sunny Diamonds there because he was recording Roy at the
Damn.
time, and all of that pretty much spread from there. Because like the next year,
Mm-hmm.
Roy was then his manager actually Brooks was just like,
Mm-hmm.
"Yo, um, we should tap in. Like we like what you're doing. Like we got
Mm-hmm.
some more stuff." And then Sunny was like, "Yo, I like what you're doing. We should tap in." And like everything kind of branched off from there.
So you just were immersed at that point.
Pretty much, and it's so crazy how it was like a stark difference of like running around Brampton just trying to like find places to shoot something interesting or like put my
Yeah.
friends against like cool backdrops to like, oh, okay, now we're in it.
you're,
like
you're in the mix.
like in it,
Yeah.
like 10
Yeah.
toes.
Yeah. I always think about that because I feel like you come from almost a privileged position in a sense from seeing so many things in the industry up close.
hmm
That I know a lot of artists when they're starting out, they don't know that they don't know.
So the thing is, like that was just so important to I guess like my creative journey, in the sense of I got to so shout out to Roy and like even the dancer homies and
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of the people that I've been around have been dope enough to just bring me along. So Roy definitely exposed me to like a lot of different environments within the industry and like,
Mm-hmm.
the process. Even Devin Tracy, when we first went to LA, like there's a once upon a time that's like I'm watching on YouTube that I'm like, worlds
Crazy.
away.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
he's like, we did a photo shoot at Square One. He's like, yeah, bro, I actually remember you commenting like on a video one time or whatever,
Wow.
mind blown. I'm like, yo, as a
Wow.
fan, right? But again, Roy, and just like the other homies basically gave me the confidence to say, like, okay, maybe I do belong here and like I do
Mm-hmm.
have something to contribute. And yeah, at being the background person initially, that's already what I learned to like observe and just like play the role, do what I gotta do so that I can help the bigger picture and keep things moving.
Yeah. It kind of brings a sense of understanding. I think people
Absolutely.
have because I think even myself, like I started out doing stuff behind the scenes,
hmm
and so even now, like I'm thinking of behind the scenes while I'm doing this. It's
Yep.
like, okay, I got one job, but there are still other jobs.
That need to like come together to make
Yeah,
this
that make this
happen.
happen. Talk about you connecting with Yes Jules. Obviously, that was a different time.
Yeah.
But talk about that.
Bro. So same thing. And essentially, what I was gonna say after the fact was all of I'm glad that those experiences happened
Mhm,
first because they
mhm.
kind of gave me the confidence and understanding. Where if I went into music first, probably would have been more frustrated in a lot of
Yeah,
places and trying to like figure things out.
you got to see it.
Yeah. So
Mhm,
initially, yeah, the I'd say we did a little bit of the. Did we even do the Roy stuff by that point? Long story short, university. It's me, it's Trezor, it's Ryan, and our homie Kiana as well. We're doing our
mhm,
videos, whatever. We're just like because we're already into the pop culture and just the culture in general, like talking a
mhm,
lot of things and whatever. We're tapped in. So we see that Yes Jules is coming to do a party at ballet in
mhm.
Toronto. R.I.P. ballet for
Shout
real.
out ballet.
Yeah. So yeah, she's coming. I'm like, shit, I've been to ballet, bro. And I know it's gonna be lit, so let's go. And then at the time I was working at a photo studio. So
Mhm,
like I see she's coming. I'm like, okay, I think I can plug this in. Like maybe I can shoot some content, figure something out. So
uh,
I think I messaged Jules on like Twitter or something. I was like, oh, like, am I cool to bring my camera? And I didn't get a word. I didn't want to be stopped at the door with a DSLR or whatever,
yeah.
right? My coworkers and friends are like, yo, just do it, just like go, you know?
Mhm,
Excuse me. The day comes and I'm like, all right, you know what? I am just gonna do it, like regardless of what happens.
mhm.
And that same day, Jules is like, yeah, like come on, bring it in. I was like, oh shit. So we're
Bet.
lit. So went in there, shot it up, and I again, this is like a time where I was like into the media and whatever. So especially if it's something I'm interested in.
Yeah.
Party ended by like what 1, 2 a.m.
Mhm.
Took the long train ride back home, and then I was just editing like the video basically, and flipped it like
Damn.
as quick as I could, and then Jules was like, "Oh, this is tough. Like, send it to me," because I tweeted it to her at first.
Mhm,
She's like, "Yeah, send it and whatever." And like, I didn't know what was gonna happen from there, but
mhm.
like, they obviously liked it, and that's kind of the last thing I heard until South by Southwest 2017. So that
Mhm.
was like probably was it or 2018? Anyway, one of the South by Southwest, it was coming around, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna find a way there. So I start like looking up the hashtag,
Damn.
trying to see who I can connect with and whatever. And then I saw that Jules was also she ended up teaming up with 40 ounce van to do a 40-ounce bounce at South by.
Such a different time. The,
Yeah,
the names
bro.
coming out of your mouth.
I some people are like, what is he talking about?
Yeah,
But
they
like
gets
if you
Latin
know,
to
you
them.
know.
Yeah, yeah,
But so they had a call out basically for
yeah.
media,
Mhm,
and I was like, yo, Jules, like I literally
mhm,
just shot for you. Here's the footage or whatever. And they're like, yeah,
mhm,
pull
mhm,
up. And then that was it. That was just all I needed. And what I learned from that experience was kind of like, just give the door, open the door for me. I'll figure it out. I'll come and do
mhm.
what I got to do. But as long as I can be in that space,
Yeah,
and that was it.
I think that like go getter mentality of like, okay, like there's opportunity here, and it's like it's barely an opportunity, but I'm gonna like
Make the most out
open
of
it a
it
little bit more.
for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a clear through line with all the stories you're telling of like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, I said I'm going to it, I'm gonna get it. When's the last time someone has asked you to shoot anything?
Um, maybe my girl on her birthday back in March.
Okay,
That was
that's
it.
fine. That's
Yeah,
fair.
yeah, yeah.
That's fair.
Something like serious though. No, it's probably been a while. But like I kind of vowed to myself
Mm.
after the fact of like if I'm going to hold the camera, then it's like on my own accord because like I want to or whatever.
I resonate with your story a lot. Obviously, all the reasons we've said, but I used to do videography. People who know me from that time, we probably
Word.
were at some same events.
Yeah, probably.
I used to intern for G987. I was
Jeez.
big into videography,
Yeah.
and I kind of was telling myself, Angel, maybe maybe you're not meant to be on camera, and maybe that's not for you. Just trying to convince myself, whatever I
Yeah.
was trying to do. And then I had a realization. I said, you're just being doubtful. There's no real
Hmm.
reason here for you. Like you've shown
Just
you could
shy
do
yourself
it.
away. Yeah.
Yeah. And I actually sold my camera as like
Whoa.
that was like my, like push.
Your rebirth.
Yeah, yeah. I said, okay, I'm not doing this no more. I'm selling the camera. Literally sold it for pennies, like, and thinking back to
I've
it
been
now,
there though.
yeah, and I needed to do that because I think that if I still had that camera,
You like a crutch. You like.
I'd still be, shooting, editing, all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And a few years after that, my mom actually got me a camera for Christmas.
Oh, nice.
And it kind of turned out full circle, whatever. But
Hmm.
I resonate with that of like, okay, I'm done doing this. Like
Like,
I'm good at this. Y'all know I
yeah.
do this, but I'm done doing this.
Nah, I that especially because it was definitely a time of and again shout out to David because David kind of helped me and David Fortel helped me in
Mm,
I guess my thought process through those times
mhm,
because I was like all these experiences like dope things with everybody, but there came a point where I was like, okay, yes, I can do. And it's not even about like favors for friends or those kind of things, but I
Mhm.
was like, how do I actually make this profitable so I can make it a business that makes sense for me? I
Yeah.
didn't want to shoot weddings. I didn't want to, I already did the photo studio for family stuff.
Yeah.
Um, so I started trying to put, I guess, value on my ideas at
Mhm.
that point. So that was kind of the fuel of like, yeah. Like I think I didn't sell the body, but I sold like the L series lens that I had on the
Okay.
Canon,
Okay.
whatever, you know? And I'm like, yeah,
That's the
if it's
start.
not
Yeah.
around, yeah, like I can just like do my thing. Like I'm not even trying to be like pigeonholed or I guess, people putting their assumptions on you just because of whatever. I'm like, I'm bigger than that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And I think too, like making that transition into music, like I want to talk about that because what were people telling you when you decided to do that? Because I think that like listen, I've had my own doubters, everyone has,
Mhm.
but I somehow feel like you had some big doubters in that space because I think when people don't know you for something,
Yeah.
it's almost like what makes you think you could rap?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So talk
Like
talk about that like time when you realizing yourself, okay, I'm gonna actually do this.
mhm.
And those first conversations you had, whether it was your friends, your
Yeah.
girl, your parents, like what were those first conversations like of
Excuse me.
telling people, yo, y'all need to know like I'm about to start rapping.
I think honestly, before I okay, so when it was probably elementary school or high school. So mind
Hmm.
you, I was like doing it for fun. I'd record in the basement. Like
Yeah.
my parents knew. If there was a point where I was engineering for other people, like in my basement briefly.
Hilarious.
I know, because it's like I forget about that, but it's like I literally had people I didn't know from my high school just like
Mm.
chilling, just so I could run the session, if you will, off of like a Guitar Hero mic, mind you. Yeah, and Sony
Crazy.
Vegas, like or Mixcraft, one or the
Sony
other.
Vegas is
Bro, like we were really like out the mud with it.
this has to
Like
be the episode where you're naming the most throwbacks of all time. Like
yeah.
we need to have like a throwback counter
Facts.
of things you're naming that are pre 2010. Like
Bro, do your research, kids, because like this is
yo.
foundational like information here, man.
Yeah, if you're born in '04,
Oh my
half of
god.
this episode is going over your
Way over your
head.
head, bro. Like you're like, who?
Oh my god.
But yeah, so those days I was just doing it for fun. So I
Mhm.
distinctly remember, like I think I was passing through the living room and my younger brother, like for some reason, was compelled
Mhm.
to ask my mom, like, "Oh, what would you do if Tristan started rapping?" And then my mom's like, and I'm not in this conversation. I'm
Mhm.
passing through the living room, and then
Yeah.
she's like, "Oh, he wouldn't do that." Like, I forgot what she said, but yeah, she's like, "Yeah, he wouldn't do that." And I kind of like it sat in my head for like a couple years because I was
Mm.
like, I'm not gonna do something because I don't want to do it. Like I don't want to
Yeah.
do it because someone's telling me. But like that's why I kind of tiptoed around like doing it for fun, like not really pushing all the music in high school, like
Mhm.
subconsciously, I suppose.
Yeah.
So now, the videography, like we did our thing, came back from touring with Roy, like
Mhm.
whatever. I'm doing my thing, but I'm like, yeah, I definitely want to put more value, I guess, on my ideas and kind of expand what I'm doing beyond just the one thing. Excuse me. So it came a point, excuse me. And obviously, shout out to like Trezor, for example, and Ryan and just the homies,
Mhm.
because we just naturally, because we're into culture and all these different things, like we're freestyling together, we're doing music for fun, like
Yeah.
whatever, There's Trezor did a flip to Link My Ting, and he called it Link My Ting from Scarborough, and I actually have a verse on that song where I like
Mhm.
tried to like write a verse.
Yeah, yeah.
So like it was definitely my friends that I can't even say encouraged me because it's not even like they were like, "Yo, you should do it." It was just like because we were doing it and it was fun and it was a comfortable environment.
The
So
energy.
yeah, of course I wanted to like participate.
Mhm.
And then I think eventually, so that happened, and there was a point where I was like, you know what? I'm thinking of ideas. How can I do this? I'm like maybe songwriting because it's
Mhm.
still behind the scenes. I can do
Fair.
my thing. And eventually I was basically trying to like I guess run a label where I was like, I'll just write songs and like do the video, do the marketing for everyone because I like advertising and that kind of stuff and do a whole thing. And then it was David who was like, why don't you just like slow down and put that all,
Mhm.
all that energy into yourself? And I was just like, huh, I guess you're right. And he's like, yeah, just be an artist. And then in those early stages, I ended up going back to talk to my mom.
Mhm.
My mom was like, I wasn't trying to deter you because I,
Mhm.
I I basically told both my parents like what was said and why
Mhm.
that sat with me. And she's like, yeah, I wasn't trying to deter you. I'm just like afraid, like as any like black mother would be of like the world and like you know what I mean, like
Mhm.
a black individual in these different spaces. So that was more where she was speaking from. So to be able to kind of put that to rest, I was like, oh, okay, well, yeah. She's like, I'll always support you in whatever you do, but
Mhm.
I'm just as my child, like I care for your safety. Um, and I think while she was kind of valid, I still had already learned how to navigate and like whether it was a Roy or just in spaces in
Yeah.
Toronto, like
You're
yeah,
familiar. You
exactly. All that time as a videographer, I kind of learned like how to stick and move, how to.
Mhm.
And then all of that kind of came together to where I was like, okay, let me now like take it seriously and actually get back to that recording process.
It's also like a change in identity as well. Like
Mhm.
in Atomic Habits, he says
finish that book?
I just finished it on the weekend.
Okay, okay.
Just finished it.
Yeah.
And top of that, he said like part of creating good habits is like how you identify yourself. So it's like
Mhm.
you view yourself as I'm someone who doesn't miss the gym.
Yeah.
Like I'm someone who I always go to the gym no matter what.
Mhm.
And I think like when you're changing careers in a sense, it's like you have to change the identity of yourself of like I am the rapper or I am
Yeah.
an artist or I
Yeah,
am a
yeah.
musician. So talk about that is that change in terms of like you having to view yourself differently, but as well
Mhm.
like you didn't send out a press conference. Like obviously when
Yeah.
Russian came out, and
Yeah.
then everybody knows. But I think
Yeah.
until then, people are meeting you and
Like,
like
"Oh,
are you telling them like what
yeah."
was kind of the movement in that? Because I think like again you were successful at something before,
Mhm.
so to tell people you're doing something new, how did you maneuver that?
Yeah, so I think so I for the last point, it's not necessarily that I had, haters or naysayers, but,
Mhm.
like, my mom's opinion was one part of it, and
Yeah.
then I guess the other part were definitely people who had already known me for outside, like, as a photographer, so if I run into them in certain places, whether
Mhm.
it's not necessarily asking for shoots or whatever, but they're like, "Oh, yeah, how's the whatever going?"
Mhm.
And then in those conversations, I would just
Ah.
that's when I kind of had to start saying, yeah, I'm not really doing that too much. Like I'm doing a
Mm.
little bit of music now. Like I
Mhm.
wasn't like too heavy or too adamant on trying to do those things, but another homie, so Ross,
Mhm.
we print what you want. So I met him through Devin Tracy. He was one of those people too that was like I remember like talking to him about it because I was starting to get frustrated where it's like, yeah, people
Mhm.
keep kind of seeing me for what I did and not necessarily tapping into what I'm doing now.
Mhm.
And it's like, I understood, obviously, yes, they know me for that, right? But I'm like, okay, how better can I change that perception and whatnot? And I can't fully remember what he said, but he gave me that confidence essentially in what he was saying of like, just do what you're doing, let people think what they want to think, and
Mhm.
like, and when the time is right and with what you're doing, it'll come around.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
literally to his point, did Russian, started doing like the other records as well. And then I think as well when I started like performing and going outside and all these other elements of it coming
You
together,
see
that's when
it.
people started to kind of
Mhm.
take it seriously. But yeah, especially in those spaces where I was performing and whatnot. I think by taking myself out of like I wasn't completely out of the spaces I used to be in, but at
Mhm.
least like the circumstances where people would know me as a photographer, showing up in those places less and then showing up in the music spaces or the the networking spaces
Yeah.
and doing that from there.
It's such a difference. Like something that I can actually relate to is like when people know you one way
Mhm.
and you're in that space in one way, it's almost like a jump scare. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
and like talk about your first time performing as like a new artist because you're probably in spaces where you were there as a photographer. You know, like
Yeah.
I've been here before, but I've been
Mhm.
here, front stage taking,
Yeah.
and now I'm here on stage where it's like if someone is familiar with you, they're like, who gave him the mic?
Type
Where's
shit.
his camera? Like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
bro.
So talk about your first time performing and like
Yeah.
that whole thing.
It's funny that you mentioned that because now, so the whole South by Southwest story,
Yeah.
when I was like cold DMing people and whatever,
Mhm.
one of them was a homie named Tyler. So at the
Okay.
time, Tyler, he's from New Jersey, and then he was in Texas for South by. Excuse me. So he partnered up with someone named like Sprat.
Mhm.
Excuse me, to do a showcase, and it was like sponsored by Source Magazine or whatever. So they had that going for a little bit. So I met him at the one show when I first went on my own to shoot, and he was
Mhm.
really hospitable, like dope homie. He's like, yeah, we can roll together, like don't
Mhm.
worry. So I did that in the Yes Jules thing. So now a couple years later, I see he's still doing his thing, and I'm like, he posted about South by Southwest 2019. So I was like, yo, you got space on that set list there? Like,
Mhm.
what's up? He's like, yeah, of course. And like student budget at that time. So I was like, okay, if you can just hold it down for me, I
Mhm.
get you the money when I have it, blah, blah, blah. He's like, don't worry. Like,
Mhm.
you just come, do your thing, and we'll do it up. I
Damn.
was like, all right, bro. And then yeah, I had like a couple records under my belt, or at least like
Mhm.
SoundCloud, like a little bit on
Yeah.
streaming. So I was like, okay, first thing I did, because I think I don't even know how I ended up back at G Spot, but shout out Enze because he had
Mhm.
a studio over by like Cherry Street, kinda.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Grand Sound, whatever it was. So anyway, I shot for him, so that's how I had the studio at first. But I
Mhm.
can't remember how I got back in there. So anyway, I meet this other person, and shout out to his face is in my head right now, but I can't remember his name. It starts with a D, and he's like a classic, like an OG journalist, black journalist, hip hop. Used to have dreads, now he's
Oh,
bald.
Dalton.
Dalton.
There you go.
Yes. So
Yeah,
I met
yeah.
Dalton through somebody, and he was holding a thing at like the Black music space or whatever.
Yeah.
A lot of people dropping gems in there. So I met someone in there named Toy, and Toy was an artist, but she was also a vocal trainer and whatnot. So I was like, yeah, I'm just starting my journey or whatever. She's like, yeah, like we can work together. Like, I'm kind of getting into the artist development as well and just like vocal training, so we could definitely figure something out. Tapped in with her, and I'm like, yep. So this is my first performance coming up in South by. I'm gonna figure out a way there, but like I would love to be
Yo.
prepared. And I've been on stage in high school, like announcing, talking to people, all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
right? So I'm not new to the stage, but performing definitely
Different.
Yeah. So we pretty much spent like 3-4 weeks just working on like my stage presence, and like she's like, yeah, study J. Cole, like all these different people, like you see how comfortable they are on stage and like their interaction with the audience and those kind of things. And I was like, okay, so she put things into perspective for me. And then yeah, it kind of worked itself out to where that my first show ever was in Texas, in Austin, in front of a room full of people, like one homie, my homie Josh, who came with me to Texas, and then a room full of people I did not know. So I was able to kind of really immerse myself in just like that experience.
Yeah.
And I think it was a good one, because it might not have been like the best music in comparison to what I have now or best performance. Like it was cool. I held it down. I didn't like shake too much.
Yeah.
But I think the thing that was positive for me in that experience was coming off of stage. A lot of people were just real. They're like, yo, I see the potential, keep going though. Or like, they're like, yo,
damn.
like I fuck with that. And there was a guy there who was like, yeah, we got a studio at the B&B, come by tomorrow. Like, let's cook up.
Damn.
Yeah. So that was really kind of that what gave me the confidence to say like, okay, as
You're-
long as I'm putting my all into this, like someone's gonna see that energy,
First performance too.
Yeah.
Like that's a crazy way
Not
to
on
start.
purpose. Like it just kind of ended up in that kind of way.
Yeah, again, it's like you're immersed, because I think about when you start as an artist, a lot of your validation is from other artists.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
like
my
knowing that I
goodness, yeah.
belong, like we're both talented, like do
Yeah.
you respect what I do?
For sure.
And so to have that like from the jump, in a sense, from
the one thing, literally that, when we were in LA. So I went to LA with Devin Tracy and whatnot. So that was, I guess, my first time out in LA for work purposes, like not with family. And yeah, great time. We're doing our thing. He's performing, has interviews and whatever. There's just this one moment where we're driving somewhere, just freestyling in the whip. And like, I'm now chiming in too, because it's like, yeah, you freestyle with the homies and whatever.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that was like also a piece of that validation where he was like, yo, like that was kind of hard. And I was like, bro, like I'm still low key a fan. Like he's the homie now.
Him saying that is like,
Bro, so those like moments kind of gave me the validation like ahead of it, and then now the performance, and then like people like Devontae like telling me, yo, Exotic Snacks is hard and whatever. Just all along the way, those people definitely like, I don't know, it just did something for me where I was like, I'm here for a reason. Like not so existential, but you know what I mean? Like it is.
I would say kind of, yeah, because it's like you've arrived. Like,
Yeah.
I think there's that quote everyone says, like when your idols become your rivals.
Yeah.
Where it's like rookies say a lot in basketball, where they're like, it took me like 50 games to realize I'm in the NBA. Like
I get that.
I'm playing in the NBA, but I'm like, oh, like I'm on a roster too. Like you're here to see me too. And so that's part of it, where it's like you're now an artist, where they're like, yo, like you're one of us. Like it's not like you're a caricature of an artist.
No, it's like you're really that guy. So it's like I get that though, and I'm very thankful for the people that kind of see you for the person you are, and are just like so positive and supportive.
Yeah. Before we get to our little Wayne top 5, because I'm very excited for that. My Wayne raised us,
bro.
So that's a very important one. 401 West. Now, to me, that is like a hip hop version of Break from Toronto.
I appreciate that.
And I can't even tell you how much times I had that hook that's like in my head, like screaming it for no reason when you first sent that to me. What was your inspiration behind that? Because why I like that song a lot is, one, it is very localized, and like if you know 401 West, you know. But I think about all the highways that these American rappers name.
Yeah, I-95 or something.
That we can repeat, and I like when we do that, because there's no reason for us to know these highways in LA. There's no reason for it.
Yeah.
But somehow we can tell you about the Brooklyn Bridge, and
I'm telling you about areas in Los Angeles. Crazy.
So I like that you kind of did that on this. So talk about the inspiration behind that song.
For sure. A couple different things. So definitely not directly, but I do remember this one time Amani was telling me like I was playing her early music and she was
Mm-hmm.
like, "Yo, I think you should kind of like tell more of your story."
Mm-hmm.
And people want to buy into like the artists themselves. So that was like a good little piece that kind of stuck with me through time. But yeah, honestly with that record, so I got in at Diamond Factory Studio. I met Brandon Brown in there, and then I
Mm-hmm.
met Coolin as well. Shout out to the homies. So were they? I feel like yeah. I think Coolin was in the studio with Brandon already at that moment. So when I walked in, like we chopped it up and whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and essentially pieced together like yeah, we should work on something. So it was actually Coolin who sent me the sample first. So not like the percussion or whatever, but that
Mm.
sample that you hear in the track.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
that loop.
Yeah, he sent me that first. Excuse me, and it was pretty much how you hear it, like, in
Mm-hmm.
the record, so I was just kinda, like, trying to create melodies, and then, I don't know, something just came about, it was already sounding Toronto and,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Canadian, so I was like, "Yeah, flying 411 west, I'm
Mm-hmm.
speeding," just built out the chorus, brought that back with the sample, and then Brandon, basically expanded on it and added the progression, and we just
So
kept,
you
like
wrote that without the percussion.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
okay
it's
then.
I don't normally like I'm just very
Mhm.
open. So whether you're putting the beat in front of me and I'm just like catching the vibe or we're
Mhm.
building it from scratch, like I'm cool for it either. But that's just yeah, that's one of those few where that is exactly how it happened.
That's a talent as a writer because I feel like if you can write without the percussion, that's
Hmm.
like a sense of okay, like this, I'm the one taking the lead here. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I think from like because it was being built up and it was in a
mhm,
pack, mind you. It was in a
mhm,
pack, that's what it was. But because it was something I guess it's like for me that also kind of helped with you know what I mean? Like you can almost visualize where you're gonna take it. So that was
yeah,
the inspiration as well.
yeah. What's your writing process like? Are you a pen and paper person? Are you writing your phone person? Like,
I think well, yeah, I use my phone because I feel like I'd be too slow pen and paper. But
fair.
yeah. I don't know. It's not exactly because Drake was doing the BlackBerry thing, but
Hmm.
it's just the tools, those are the
Yeah,
easiest.
yeah.
But yeah, whether I hear think if it's me, cut on the beat, if I can find like the melody or figure something out, I'll
Hmm.
usually piece that out and then I'll like put the words to it of
Hmm.
what fits the vibe.
That's very interesting. I agree with Amani about like you being more like open in your music.
Hmm.
I say this is like this is almost across the board. I have barely ever seen this be wrong. An artist will have a song that is like either their biggest song by far or like the song everyone resonates to on their project.
Hmm.
And then they'll tell me a story about a song and they'll be like, yeah, I wrote this about the time I tried to kill myself. And you'll be like, okay,
Like,
that's
oh wow.
but it's like putting that in the lyrics is like there's some kind of osmosis energy with the universe where
Hmm.
the more you're honest in the
The
lyrics,
more
the universe kind
authenticity
of
in it.
kind of
Yeah,
rewards you in a sense.
absolutely.
And I think about that with you because like you have such a unique story to tell
Hmm.
in your music where it's like again, 401 West is a clear example of that, but every time you add more and more of that in your music,
Yeah.
the universe just rewards that of like, okay, you told them
Here's
this kind of fits. And it's
Yeah.
funny because I see it the other way where the beat is good, it could be a good song, but someone is like, I just want to make something fun
Yeah.
and it usually never works out. But when you make that bop on like, your
That's
deepest, darkest
coming from
secrets,
somewhere yeah, for real.
nah,
It
it,
hits
it does
different.
something.
Mhm.
Now, I gotta say this. Lil Wayne is the probably the artist who doesn't do this as much as we're saying.
Yeah.
And is like if we're
Like,
being
every now
real.
if you remember, it's
Yeah, yeah,
like
literally.
yeah.
But he's like a unique genius in that case.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna give you some of my favorite Lil Wayne songs just to jog your memory,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
And then you can give me yours because I want to see what kind of Lil Wayne fan you are.
Yeah,
Uh,
because they're definitely distinctions.
first off, my least favorite Lil Wayne song is "How to Love."
Yeah.
"How to
Yeah, yeah.
Love" is just like when that song was popular. Oh my,
I'm not gonna say it's, like, my least favorite, but, like, I like it, but yeah, not as much as the other records.
no, "How to Love" had me
This
pissed.
guy's like, "Yo, cut this off,
No,
bro."
I couldn't. I was like, of all the Lil Wayne songs, like, come on,
But you
come
know
on.
why, though?
Yeah, obviously,
You know, it's most
obviously.
palatable, like, easiest for
Yeah, no,
radio.
and it was like shout out to him for even being able to make that, but
We all had a time where mans were hating.
no, 100%,
Mhm.
but
Hating on the
still.
autotune and everything, but I feel you, though.
So start with one top 5 Lil Wayne songs for me. These are in no order, but these are the songs that I listen to a lot, love to listen to.
Mhm.
Kobe Bryant by Lil Wayne.
I think I remember that one, yeah.
That one was a Lucy,
Yeah.
and it was in that No Ceilings era. when Kobe was in his prime, but that's one that if you play that around my family, my cousins,
Yeah.
you're gonna hear like
Teed up.
you're gonna hear like 4 niggas go word for word. So
Dead.
that's one of them. On Fire off Rebirth. That beat is just crazy.
Yeah.
Like I didn't love Rebirth basically at all, but
that record there.
that beat was crazy. Hustler Music, obviously a classic. Like that's one that I still play all the time.
Yeah.
That can one. This one is like I don't listen to it as much, but this is like from my childhood that I'll never forget. Is Three Peat. Three Peat was one that it was like at that time.
Was it not? It wasn't on the Carter 3.
Yeah, Carter 3. I think it's the intro on the Carter 3.
Oh, okay.
So Three Peat is one. And then the other one with him and Birdman, Pop Bottles. Pop Bottles, when I was like a teenager, I was walking around. My driveway looked something like a parking lot. Unsolicited. No one's talking. No one's talking to me. The teacher was trying to talk. I'm just saying that over and over again. Because he has so many quotable lines.
Absolutely.
So many quotable lines. So that's my 5. Give you some inspiration. What's your 5 Lil Wayne songs? You don't gotta have an order, but just this is your 5.
Yeah. I'm gonna take like a similar approach. So one that I didn't like bump too much, but it was still like I guess important to the story was it Fireman? Yeah.
Fireman would have been my Fireman is
because my cousins put me. Shout out Tiana and rest in peace Evan. But like Tiana was a super heavy like Wayne fan, so she kind of like put me on, to be honest. And like I remember just like those days I'm hearing Fireman, I'm like, what is this? I'm like, what's going on?
Fireman aged well.
Yeah. Hustler Music, I'll throw that in too.
Yep.
I honestly discovered it a little bit late, but just like from the video with the Bape jacket, bro. Oh my God.
Yeah, because the video had the clean version back in the day when it was BT. Now we used to call it BT then because we always play old songs.
Yeah.
But that was like doing the song a disservice because the dirty is just so much better.
That's the version.
Yeah,
like, that's like the real one. Excuse me, I say another one that I honestly forgot about was "Stun Like My Daddy" with
Stun Like My Daddy.
That's one of those.
Like My Daddy. Yep.
Riding bicycles, thinking it's Kawasaki's. That shit had me teed up, bro. What's that? 3. So I'll give you an honorable mention.
Okay.
I think this one I'll slide in its place first just because of like how much I overspan it, but 6'7".
6'7" got overspanned by all of us, man. I swear.
Bro, on my iPod, my workout playlist for the YMCA, even though I'm in like 9th grade, like chokehold.
I feel like Corey Guns is just like all of us is paying this man's bills to this day. Like
I have no reason to know that verse like the back of my hand, bro.
No worry.
For real. Like that really affected me. And then I think this one because I'm going with things with impact. I think I'd have to say, what was it called? It was off of something very recent. Was it Dedication 6? Yeah, it's off of Dedication 6 because Dedication 6 like came at a time where it was very impactful. It was called, or no, not even. See, I'm gonna have to give like two honorable mentions. Not Dedication 6, sorry. It's actually off the Carter 5.
The Carter 5.
Yeah, there's one song that literally impacted me, and I can't even remember the name right now, but I do remember.
23 songs on the Carter 5.
I
can't believe he did that.
I see it. It wasn't Uproar. It was called
Don't Cry, Mona Lisa.
I think it's Perfect Strangers, yeah. But there's so many on Carter 5. It's Perfect Strangers. Perfect Strangers actually like that moved me like on a deep level. But there's so many. Took his time on that record. Like so many on Carter 5 that I fuck with.
Yeah.
Was that 5 just now?
You got one more.
I got one more. Then off of Dedication 6, I'll do Yeezy Sneakers. Because again,
wow, you're a real Wayne fan. When you mention Dedication 6, it's like
I feel like people would get at me for not mentioning the other dedications, but just at the time too.
No, I'm trying to stay away from like the free. You can mention All in No Ceilings, like there's Swag Surfing, Run This Town is obviously a classic. The thing is like growing up, the Upgrade You freestyle, that was like.
I can hear the beat in my head right now, bro. Crazy. They snapped.
Upgrade You Freestyle was the song that made me a Wayne fan. Like I liked him, everything. But Upgrade You Freestyle I was like, nah, he's better than everybody else.
Different level. Yep.
Yeah. So he's He doesn't get his flowers, I don't think.
I'm saying, bro, that same reaction was me with 6'7", because I think
Yeah.
like I knew like whatever my cousin, you know what I mean, son of like my daddy heard it here and there, but 6'7", like I am on YouTube looking it up and just watching the video and like that was one of those songs where I really had to like go and look at each line,
Lyrics line by line. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh my, Wayne was that guy.
Mhm.
I gotta say this, like maybe the next time you come on, we'll do our next top 5 of the best Drake and Wayne songs together.
Yeah, because they had a whole tour, so of course they got records.
They got a whole group of songs together because I think that Wayne is one of those artists that like doesn't exist anymore, and I kind of compare him to LeBron in basketball, where I think Wayne ruined rap from this perspective.
Yeah.
Where everyone tried to imitate what he was doing when it's only he can do it.
Yeah.
Like a lot of dudes who are not writing and only freestyling in the booth, y'all not Wayne. That's a Wayne.
Yeah.
You need to write.
To that level, yeah, no, that's
like,
not easy.
You need to write the face tattoos. It's like Wayne was like 4 albums deep before he had all these tattoos. If you watch Hustler Music, that video,
that's a young boy. And
no tats, no piercings.
Dwayne Carter.
So it's like you having one song out and having a tat across your whole face is like
shaking it.
Yeah, a whole different level.
Shaking it.
And then as well, it's like the drug use. I feel like he popularized that. It's like
the lean, bro. I'm pretty sure I knew about lean before I really knew about what lean was.
Yeah, no.
Of him.
I remember I had my own white cup when I was like in high school. And I'll tell you, all that had in it was ice and iced tea.
I'm crying.
Like, but I was trying to be on my Wayne tip.
I double cup to this day just because I'm like, yo, Rip Screw, shout out Wayne, man.
Like, oh my god, the things we were doing to imitate Wayne.
Yeah, the last thing I will say though, dedication especially like just affected me because right before that we were in Miami so that's when Roy took me to Miami. That was one of those like that was one of the stories.
So you felt it come out
in the mix, bro. And then so basically Wayne was there, and then I actually got to see him perform, and I did not pull my phone out because I was like, this just feels like such a once in a lifetime moment.
You gotta live it.
Yeah. And then Dedication 6, so I was like super spinning that out when I came back.
Wayne's on my bucket list still. When he came here and I didn't see it, it really hurt my heart.
Yeah. Was it the OVO Fest?
No, he did a history.
Yeah. And Drake was the unknown opener.
Unknown opener.
So funny.
No, Wayne is one of those guys for sure.
Those guys, bro.
Yeah. We let's stop this. We're gonna
get on a
go
tangent. For hours, bro.
Nah, because Wayne is one of those guys. What I do really like about this era, and I think like you're a part of this in a sense, is like you have the understanding of what came before you. I think that a lot of artists don't have, and I think you being in the mix helped with that. Because me and Chris were saying before you showed up of like some of these artists, they're getting popping. It's their second song they ever put out. And
no artist development, no understanding.
Never been on a stage, none of that. And so I think like that is the one thing where you can tell the difference almost right away. I think back in the day, everyone had that.
Yeah.
Now you're like, okay, he don't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
He definitely has some training that he's done. Like you could see the difference. This question is forward looking. Okay, I'm gonna speak something into existence.
Absolutely.
When people get $100 million, they get an exotic animal. That's just how the game goes. I don't make the rules.
The rite of passage.
It's a
rite of passage.
Initiation. Okay.
Yeah.
Michael Jackson with his monkey.
Oh,
Justin Bieber with his monkey.
He really had a monkey?
Mike Tyson with his tiger.
Or the birds.
Nah,
I guess the tiger's more exotic, eh?
Definitely. When we get to $100 million, what is the animal you're going to add into your life?
So, my girl has Snoopy. Snoopy's obviously a little dog. If I were to get him an exotic sibling, honestly, if maybe like a lynx, if there's a way for me to get a lynx and like sustain it.
You got $100 million, man. Yeah. You can get whatever you want.
I guess like a lynx or a bobcat. Maybe a bobcat because that's more like climatized to Canada and like that environment. But I'd say that. I'm not too crazy, but that's like my favorite animal.
You're going safe with it. I like that. Just the one bobcat, or you getting a gang of them?
Maybe one, because I guess if I had a gang and then poor little Snoopy who's like miniature poodle seeing a gang of just like these big old cats.
No, they're protecting him.
Yeah,
come on, he
better.
Yeah.
If that's the case, yeah, maybe two.
Yeah.
Some twins.
How I'm thinking of it is like maybe you got one that you take with you on the road.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You got a road cat,
Mhm.
and then you got a home cat to the chill with Snoop. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Making sure we got, like, the double XL tour bus so that he has the space
A
to
whole
walk.
separate bus.
Whole separate facts. Him and the
Yeah.
Wrangler.
Now you gotta have someone on staff just
Absolutely.
for them.
I was just reading Rob 49's, like, writer thing, and
Mm.
the amount of the detail of that, I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna have to get to that level." Make sure my
Yeah.
Bobcat's taken care of.
That's insane. Like, yeah, do you have anything on your rider yet? Like, have you gotten to that diva level? You're gonna say,
Bro.
I need only yellow M&Ms.
I think, so when I curated the North by Northeast show, like, 2 years ago or 3 years ago now, that was probably the first time I was asked about a writer in that sense as, like,
Okay.
me, an artist, and they were telling me, they're like, "Yeah, get specific." So,
Mm.
I think there was Skittles. I think there was, like, some sort of, was it, like, sour, what's it called? Sour peaches?
Okay.
Yeah, fuzzy peaches.
Was it peaches?
Yeah, that'd probably be, like, as specific as I get. If I really had, like, the reign to, like, go super dumb crazy with it, yeah, definitely need the Fiji water.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Maybe bottles of Ting, just because you need that.
Shout out to the Ting.
You know what I mean? A white rum, not Ray Nephew, but, like, some sort of, like, Jamaican white rum, so I don't kill myself, but that we can all enjoy a vibe. Maybe some tequila as well.
Red Nephew's not bad. Like, you got a big entourage. That one
Yeah,
bottle could hold us.
it could, but, like, I also don't want to, like, you know, when
Die.
it's going down, like, it's like, yeah, end of the night, like, I'm not performing. I know I'm, like, chilling. I can actually, like, sip on that. Otherwise, yeah, that's
Yeah, you
just
can't sip on.
bodying me, bro.
Yo, thinking about the Ray now, because, like, when we grew up, like, that's what our parents had in the fridge.
It's still in the crib, but,
You
like,
know?
I'm thinking that for rum cake, you know, like, light application.
Yeah, exactly. A little dab.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like starting your drinking journey with Ray and Nephew is ridiculous.
Bro, my pandemic birthday, and honestly, it's because it's Trezor. I'm not even gonna say shout out to him for this one, because this man was like, "Yo, what are you doing? You're not drinking?" And I'm on Instagram Live or some shit. So he's like,
Mm.
"Yeah, go find something." My dumb ass already, like, in on a cooler or something. I'm, like, rummaging through. I tried fortified wine or some port wine, some weird shit.
Okay,
I was like,
okay.
I don't know why I did that, and then I ended off with the shot of Ray and Nephew. So of course I died.
Your twist.
Yeah. There was a point I'm on a group FaceTime with friends, and I'm, like, doing the homie speech, because obviously I'm that turnt.
I'm screwed.
And I can't, it just fades. Like, I don't know
Oh, you just
what
fade
I
out,
said.
not even finished.
Yep, I knew they were there, and I just can't remember now what I was saying, and then I transitioned to the next day.
Oh my God. Yeah,
Yeah.
nah.
That Ray?
Moral of the
yeah,
story,
be
stay away from the
careful.
Ray. Yeah, stay away from the Ray. 100%.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for joining us. Let's take a look at this ice cream, man. You did not get that much into it.
Nah, but every single bite I did have, though, yeah, I don't want to spill this anywhere. Every
Yeah.
bite was absolutely amazing. Definitely, that is tiramisu. That's certified.
Nah, I want to try. I actually haven't tried the tiramisu one,
Nah.
so I'm gonna pop by Eva's and get some
Yeah.
myself. Big shout out to
I'm gonna
Eva's.
have to get a second pint for myself, actually.
Yeah, no, that you can actually finish.
Yeah.
Last but not least, we have this segment on the radio show called Wednesday Wisdom. Ask for a motivational quote or saying either you remind yourself of or the people around you. So what's that for you? A quote that either you always remind yourself of or you're always sharing with your people?
I think one that really kind of hits me just from childhood. Mind you, it was like a long ass thing, but I was kind of shorting it. But there's this picture that, like, hung in my house, and it was like a nice little thing with a poem, and it basically says, like, the poem's called "Don't Quit." It's like, rest of you must, or when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high. I'm saying it out of order, but
Yeah.
essentially, the silver lining on the clouds of doubt. Sorry, I'm saying it out of order. Long story short, don't quit. No matter, like, how tough things get, like, there's always going to be some sort of silver lining. It might not be, like, immediately, you know what I mean, right in front of you or perceivable, but trust that, like, everything happens for a reason, as long as you're able to kind of stick within yourself and like, really just, like, stay 10 toes and just, like, yeah, I'm gonna push through regardless of if it's a positive or a negative experience, because at the end of the day, it's all, you know, for the bigger picture, the bigger cause. It's always gonna come back around for you, no matter what.
I like that. Jonah Hill said this in an interview, less eloquent, but he said, don't quit, because if you quit, it's guaranteed you won't make it. You know, if you don't quit, there's a chance you won't make it.
Yeah.
If you quit, there's absolutely no chance you're gonna make
You ain't
it.
finna make it at that point.
And so I like that one a lot, because it's like, of course, things get tough. It's hard to stay positive. But I think just as simple as don't quit, because I feel like that is sometimes easy for people to grab onto.
Yeah.
You know, things get tough and it's like, okay, I'll just quit. I'll just
Yeah.
leave this alone. You know, and
Nah,
I feel like
man.
if you have the mentality, if quitting is not even an option, the things that you'll do are going to be very different.
Endless, bro. Endless options. To me, yeah, all those hard days to me, or like the tough parts of the journey, I'm always just like it's a part of the story at the end of
Yeah.
the day, because you can't have a great story without some sort of trials and tribulations.
Yeah. And something that I heard my mom say, which I am dying to believe, is she's like, as bad as good is going to get good. So if you stick with that, it's like, all right.
Like if this is rock bottom, I know I'm about to catapult up
You know,
soon
and
for
I,
sure.
I think about it with a lot of famous and rich people who have been through so many things
Yeah,
that it's like this person just getting a full-time job would have been success, let alone becoming a billionaire. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
facts.
So it's like we
Yeah.
had to have that moment where we say, okay, it's gonna be fine.
Mhm.
We're gonna make it through. I want to thank you for joining. You dropped a lot of gems in this
Nah,
episode.
thank you, bro.
I think that anyone who listens to this episode is gonna see a brighter light for themselves from what you've already accomplished.
Yeah,
I'm excited for what you got going on this summer. I think
load
I
it
think
up.
we have another interview in the works because you do have a lot of stuff happening.
I'm always ready, bro. And you don't even need ice cream. Like shout out Eva's. I'll show up just for free. It was a good conversation for real.
No, this was a good one. I think this is an instant classic. I will say so myself. If you want to hear the radio show, find us online at metradio.ca, 12:80 a.m. in Toronto, CJTM, of course. We're on Instagram as well, at The Cool Table Live, on YouTube, at The Cool Table Live, and all episodes of The Cool Table can be found at adrielsmiley.com. Until next time, know yourself, know your worth.